Kaidan of the northern lands of Vardma. Years ago, I transmitted historical logs of the Covenant to better educate your species of our roots, but they were old and less informative. With the growing threat of the Prometheans and their relentless mistress, I feel that now is a good time as any to correct my past blunders. For knowing the past is a guide to the future. For now though, I shall start at the beginning, back to the time when the Covenant Empire was founded. The Covenant I joined was birthed in blood, tainted by corruption. The road that led to its creation was long and wide, paved with the bones of millions. We called it the War of Beginnings. Thousands of years ago, before your kind built pyramids and colosseums, our race spread throughout the stars, forging our own destiny. Under the watchful eyes of the Arbiters and the Council of City-States, we established colonies on frontier worlds, and new clans rose to prominence. This was a time where we were true warriors, not crazed fanatics. We had true honor and courage in between both our hearts. But all that changed when a strange ship arrived on the frontier world of Olgathon, where alien trespassers defiled our most sacred veils. These were the Sanshum Reformist. They were the descendants of those who fled their world in the midst of civil war, as they believed the artifacts of the Forerunners should be utilized for their own benefit, against the wishes of their Stoic kin. But much like the Stoics, we Sangheili saw this as sacrilegious to the highest degree, punishable by death. When these cowards tried coddling us with words, our mighty Arbiter was not impressed. He brought back the severed heads of the Sanshum emissaries back to their leaders, displaying that actions speak louder than words. This began a year-long conflict on Olgathon, turning the lush, rocky world into a charred husk, filled with dead warriors and shattered ships. The desecration of Olgathon was only the start of the conflict, now known as the War of Beginnings. At first, we had the advantage against the invaders. They were few in number, and every Sangheili warrior had the combat skills of several Sanshum. But while they lacked the skills of a warrior, they had technological advantages, the greatest being their monstrous dreadnought, which carved a path through numerous systems as the war dragged on for decades. We could not bear the dishonor of constantly retreating from our colonies, and so we were forced to rely on drastic measures. As the conflict raged on, a cabal of Sangheili scientists covertly began studying their relics and incorporating elements into their warships, weapons, and armor designs. Soon, they emerged from the shadows and declared their sins. In those times, they would have been executed for such blasphemy, but the war had pushed us to the breaking point, and so we accepted these tools to defend the Sangheili people. With this new advantage, we were able to bring the war to a stalemate, bringing hope to our people once again. But by the end, the war had devastated both sides, and so we sent Palasar the Strident to establish some form of peace. And so he did. After much talk with the Sanshum leader, Breaking Shadow, The two leaders were able to forgive the crimes of both species, and a truce was declared. Eventually, this truce evolved into the writ of union, an agreement of sorts that in spite of the bloody history of both our people, we were bound by a holy crusade to find the sacred rings and join the holy forerunners in divine transcendence. This was the path of the great journey and became the precedents on which the covenant was founded upon. In accordance with the writ, the Sanshun discarded their dreadnought and adopted the Sangheili tongue as their own to compensate for the mass Sangheili that now joined the covenant. In return, we had to forsake our past faiths and convert to the ways of the Sanshu. Many agreed to this, including my ancestor, but some resisted, such as the veteran warrior Usa Zealous, who refused to surrender to the tyranny of the prophets. In my youth, I would have cursed his name as a heretic. Now, I can only admire such courage. He was the last semblance of honor for our race, only to be driven into exile and killed on a Forerunner shield world. Or so we had thought.